Hey, what's going on, y'all? Victor Adetiba here with another Scrum Master live Q&A. I want to thank all of you for reaching out to me and sending the birthday wishes. We've got an overwhelming response of people who are interested in enrolling new students coming to the program. So it's not too late. I want to advise you guys, if you guys have never joined one of our Manta Tech webinar Wednesdays, you guys should text Scrum to 469-382-5890. That will get you an invitation to tomorrow's Manta Tech webinar Wednesdays, where I am still running my birthday special in celebration of my 40th birthday. We're giving a tremendous discount to anyone who is interested. So you guys can send a text message of Scrum to 469-382-5890 to get invited to that webinar and attend that tomorrow. Or if you have any questions, you guys can text me directly as well, and we can set up a telephone call or a consultation to see if a transition to a career in Scrum is right for you. You guys can go to academy.manzatech.com to take a look at our program and the different things that our students have to say about us, as well as the different packages that we're offering currently. But let's get back to our regularly scheduled program. So today is an episode of Scrum Master Q&A. So this is where I take questions that people have either sent me directly or that I find online in some of the different Scrum Master groups, whether that's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, wherever, where I've aggregated some of those messages and I respond to them and give you guys my response from the perspective of a coach and a Scrum Master who is, trying to give folks advice who are looking to get into that field. So we're going to go to our first question. Let's see if I can get this right. You guys bear with me. This is the first time. Here we go. All right. First question comes from Karen. So Karen says, morning all, daily Scrum tips on avoiding the status update like meeting and having them not feel like they're reporting to you as a Scrum Master. I'm looking at further improvements, and discussions and transparency are great when they happen. Just on occasion, I feel like they are telling me rather than each other. We are generally in the office together. Very rarely are we remote. Good question. Yeah, sometimes the daily stand-up can feel like a status update meeting, and it can be a little bit awkward and a little bit uncomfortable, and the team doesn't necessarily respond to one another or interact with themselves the way you would hope they do, right? And so there are a few different ways that you can do this. One is by making sure that you encourage the team and educate them about what the ceremony is for. What is the daily stand-up for? Make sure they all have a shared understanding that this ceremony, this event is for them, and come up with ways to help them collaborate. Another way that you can do that as a Scrum Master is by asking them questions as they're giving their updates, right? Is that something that you need any help with? Is there anybody on the team that could swarm or pair or mob with you while you're working on that? Is there anybody who would like to learn that, right? And try to be that catalyst, be that facilitator on the team that helps bring those conversations or those questions out that sometimes some developers or engineers on the team are maybe scared or apprehensive about asking, right? So it's your responsibility to help encourage that growth and encourage that conversation. Another thing that you can do is rotate the facilitation of that conversation or that ceremony, right? So a lot of times people look to the Scrum Master as the one to run or facilitate that conversation. So I would ask that you maybe have the team set up a rotation of people who want to run the daily stand-up for the team. This is something I did on some of my teams. And so as different people are acting as the Scrum Master on the team, they will begin to ask those questions. They will begin to solicit those responses from the people who are on the team. And as that happens and people go through the rotation, they'll understand what it means and what it feels like to be a Scrum Master, and will start acting as a Scrum Master independently, even when they're not the Scrum Master, right? So once they understand what that responsibility feels like and what the expectation is, they'll start to internalize that, and everyone on the team will start to act as a better teammate or team member. Another thing I would say is that you can gamify this process. I'm going to get up and grab this really quickly so that I can show you what I do. I got this. This is a rugby ball that I got from Devon over at Bearded Eagle, autographed. December 19th, from one of the classes that I took with them. And so I used to take this to work with me when we were working in the office. And at the time of the daily stand up, we would all kind of get in a huddle and literally stand up away from our desks. And it looks like you're also working in the office. And I would ask who was going to go first, who wanted to give their daily stand up update to the team first. And whoever volunteered, I would toss this ball to them and they would catch it and they would discuss what they wanted to discuss. And when they were finished, they would toss the ball to another team member. And so this brought in kind of like a gamification aspect to the daily stand up. And I believe the team had fun with it, and it encouraged them to make eye contact with one another, right? Since they're working in the office, and actually look around this circle of people and give that update versus all looking at you and giving that update. And I guess that's also another way that you can resolve that is based on how are the people standing, or how's the meeting room that you're in when you're giving the stand up. If you're staying at the front of the room and everyone is maybe seated, or on the opposite side of the room, everyone is looking up or looking to you. So it feels like they're giving that update to you. However, if you can encourage a team to stand in a circle or a huddle, now everyone is looking at everyone else, and maybe you can just kind of, I don't want to say trick their minds, but you can do a little bit of, what would be the word that you call it? You can just reframe the way that they think and feel in this specific situation at the daily stand up. So that's what I would encourage you to do, to try to get that to feel a little bit differently. I'd also encourage you to take a look at like the relationships that you've got on the team, and make sure that you have some healthy one-on-one individual relationships with people on the team, so that they don't feel or treat you as if you were a manager or somebody that they were having to report to. So those are a few tips that I would suggest for this Scrum Master Q and A. Let's see if I can find another good question for you. Here's a good one. Let's go to, looks like Kiana. Kiana says, hi everyone, happy Friday. Quick question. Does your team deploy every sprint? And in the event the answer is no, do you close the ticket to done? Good question. So that's just kind of going to depend on the team that you're on. Most organizations that I've been a part of do not deploy every sprint. If you look at the Scrum Guy says that the team should complete a potentially releasable product increment. And so that means that if the organization decided that they wanted to release it, they should be able to release it. All of the work for it to be released should have been done by the end of the sprint. However, the product owner and the organization have the opportunity to opt not to release that sprint. And what I've seen most organizations do is aggregate their releases. So maybe once a month, or even every 2 months, an organization has a larger release with more stories than just what are contained in a single sprint. So the changes that they're making are a little bit bigger. Now, that begs the question of, do you close the ticket, or do you move the story to done even if it hasn't been released? So the short answer is yes, as long as all of the work that should have been done to move it to done is completed, it should be placed in the done column. Done on a Kanban board or a sprint board or even a Jira board does not mean that it has been released. Done just means that the team has done all of the work that they need to do on it for it to be potentially releasable. And so sometimes we allow the tools we use that manage the work we do, or manage the visibility of the work, to drive our agile processes. And that really shouldn't be the case. And so I think you just want to have a really clear conversation with your team and with the organization, as well as the product owner, about kind of what that expectation is, and whether or not you guys want to put a process in place to identify or flag stories that have been done or are completed but have not yet been moved into production. And there are a number of different ways I've seen organizations do that, from setting up flags to setting up additional swim lanes to a whole myriad of different things. So I would say that's a conversation that you guys need to have as an organization to determine exactly how you want to handle that and kind of what the ramifications of each are. I don't want to get too deep into that here. Let's see if I can get maybe one more question. All right, here's one from Dipti. Dipti says, "Hi there, I'll be starting as a Scrum Master in a week's time. I used to be a Scrum Master a couple of years back, and I'm excited to be doing the same now. Any tips or guidance on how to ramp up in the first couple of weeks? Is it reasonable to request shadowing from existing Scrum Masters in teams for 2 to 3 sprints? Thanks so much for your input." So the short answer is yes, it's okay, depending on the organization and the need of you on the team and how quickly they expect you to get ramped up. An organization may not allow you to strictly shadow another Scrum Master. If they've got the bandwidth and they've got the time and the headcount and they've planned well, I think most organizations would be open and should be willing to do that. However, I think some of the most important things that you should do as a Scrum Master when coming on in the first couple of weeks is, one, you want to get to know your team. So I said this in the YouTube video I've got, things every Scrum Master should do when they start with a new team. But you want to get to know your team really well. Have one-on-ones with that team. You want to get to know the organization really well. Understand kind of the hierarchy and who are the key players within an organization when you are joining, because you want to make sure that anyone who could have a positive or negative effect on your team or the product you're working on, you're aware of who they are and why they would have that effect. So in having those conversations, those one-on-ones with your developers and your product owners and other people in the organization, some of that information will become apparent to you. Another thing I want to say that you should do is understand your product. You should get a demo of your product if possible. So the product that your team is working on, the software, the technical piece, usually most Scrum Masters are working with a technical team. You want to have a good understanding of what problem does your product solve for the organization. How important is it for the organization? Is this something that is one of the key products or premier products that your organization uses to collect income from, right? If you can get a hands-on demo, if there's an app that you can download it. If there's a website, if there's a portal, if whatever, if you can log into it and you can use this tool that your team is developing, do that, because I can't tell you how many Scrum Masters I work with that after even a month or a few months, 6 months, sometimes even years, they don't have a good understanding of what it is their team is supporting, what their team is developing, what their team is fixing bugs in. And so that kind of robs them of being the best Scrum Master that they can be for their team. A Scrum Master who is well informed of the product that they're working on and understand how it works and some of those nuances, not even from a technical perspective, just from an end user perspective. That Scrum Master is going to be an extremely valuable Scrum Master that is able to connect with their team and have conversations with their team on a level that a Scrum Master who doesn't understand or doesn't know the product very well just can't do. And so I'd encourage all of you, if you can, get a demo, get some access, get some hands-on experience, working time with the product that your team is working on. I think that's it. Good questions that I was able to find today. Once again, Victor Adetiba, MasterTech Training Academy. If you guys are interested in finding out more about our program, you guys can go to academy.mastertech.com, find out what our students are saying about us and some of the different tuition options we offer. If you're interested in finding out even more and attending one of our informational webinars so that you can find out what a Scrum Master is, what the role of a Scrum Master does, and how we have been able to garner over $23.3 million in Scrum Master job offers for our students, I would encourage you to text Scrum to 469-382-5890. Attend that informational webinar. Come get your questions answered. Come see some of the wonderful things that we've been doing in our community and find out more about being a Scrum Master. With that, that's all I got. You guys have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time. Peace.